Do you take any fermented food in your daily life? Instead of taking a probiotic supplement, I incorporate different types of Japanese fermented condiments into my daily cooking for my gut health. Today I'm going to introduce how to make amazake, which is a traditional sweet Japanese drink made from fermented rice. I use it as a sugar replacement all the time, and sweet fermented red bean paste, also known as Anko in Japanese. There is no sugar included, but still sweet enough to satisfy our sweet cravings. I will also show you two recipes using amazake. One is dressing and the other one is moist and tender steamed salmon. So let's begin by making amazake. Rinse 1 cup of Japanese sushi rice until the water is milky white. Transfer to the rice cooker, add water, and start cooking in a regular mode. After it's cooked, the texture will be very mushy and sticky. To the cooked rice, add another 360 milliliter of water. Soon after this, we're gonna be adding koji. Koji is packed with enzyme that turn protein into amino acid, bring out the natural flavor of ingredients itself. More than the health benefits, this is the main reason why I use Japanese fermented food regularly. It simply takes every dish to the next level without making any effort. In order to create a pleasant environment for the bacteria to activate, the temperature should be around 60 degrees Celsius. If you have a thermometer, it would be the best. But those who don't have a thermometer, just like me, put your finger into the rice, and if you can't stand it more than 1 or 2 seconds, it's a good indicator too. It's not precise at all, but it always works for me. Anyhow, when the temperature drops down to 60 degrees Celsius, it's time to add koji. Koji is rice covered with a mold. I'm using a dried one, which I put the shop link in the description box below. Add 200 grams of dried koji, then mix. Amazake is said to be nomu tenteki in Japanese, which means a drinkable IV shot, and has been enjoyed over the centuries in Japan. It will help to grow your skin, improve the digestion system, lower the blood pressure, and many more. Flat the surface evenly. Set the rice cooker to keep warm mode. Cover with a wet clean cloth. Make sure the lid is open to keep the certain temperature, which is at 60 degrees Celsius. Let it sit for 8 hours. Every 2 hours, wet the cloth and stir the mixture to even out the temperature inside. It will help the fermentation process. After 8 hours, it looks like this. You don't see drastic change, but it becomes more liquidy. And the aroma, it's like a sake. It's very rich and a slightly sweet scent. At this point, transfer to the clean container and keep it for up to 7 to 10 days in the fridge. You can also freeze it to keep them longer. Now let me show you two delicious recipes. The first one is amazake ginger dressing. Shred the carrots as thin as possible. Sprinkle 2/3 teaspoons of salt and massage them until it starts to sweat. Leave it for 10 minutes. Meanwhile, let's make dressing. Into the bowl, add 3 tablespoons of amazake, followed by 2 tablespoons of rice wine and 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Give it a good mix. You can use any type of vinegar, but I find the rice vinegar has mild tartness, which I love. You can find the recipe and shop link on my website. The link is in the description box below. Back to the carrot. Squeeze the excess water. This will keep the carrot crunchy and prevent the salad from getting watered down, so you can enjoy it longer. Toss it to coat. Sprinkle freshly cracked black pepper. This is optional, but I highly recommend it. Oishii!
何それ
今のどうだと思う？ 本気？
もう一回食べる。
甘
食べたい。
どう？
い。美味しい？美味しい。イエーイ。社交辞令じゃなかった。2回来た。Make a batch and store it in a container for up to 4 days in the fridge. Today I paired it with tomato pasta. The sauce was a bit tart for my kids, so I added amazake into the sauce at the end to cut through the sourness. Garnish any fresh herb you have and enjoy. It's just a perfect balance of tartness and sweetness. The next one is for the salmon lovers. It's a steamed salmon and a vegetable with just 2 condiments. Into the container, add 2 tablespoons of amazake plus 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I do equal parts of it so you can easily scale up for the bigger servings. Add 1 teaspoon of grated ginger and mix them well. Add salmon fillet into the marinade and let it sit in the fridge for 20 minutes or possibly 1 hour. Into the pan, make a bed of cabbage. Just roughly chop up into the bite-sized pieces. Pile up the shiitake mushroom. You can use any type of vegetable like onion and a carrot, broccoli. Just make sure to slice it thinly to cook evenly. After 20 minutes to 1 hour, remove the salmon from the marinade and place it on top. It gets a bit firmer. It was slippery, so tongue might do the better job here. Drizzle the marinade over the top. Bring it to the stove, and once it comes to a boil, lower the heat to medium and cook it for 9 minutes covered. Serve the cooked vegetable first and carefully place the salmon on top. It's incredibly moist and tender, so be careful not to break it. Top it with some chopped spring onion followed by black pepper. If you want to enjoy with just a tiny bit of yuzu kosho, which I introduced in a teriyaki tofu video, I linked in the description box below, and ready to be enjoyed. The vegetable soaks up all the flavor of salmon, and the salmon has been very well seasoned but still gentle and comforting. This is one of the things you have to try rather than describing it. 美味しい! And other than this, I enjoy it with some yogurt together with the blueberries, also adding into the oatmeal cookie or cocoa. Some of you asked me if the heat killed koji or not. And yes, unfortunately, koji will die from the heat. But it's still beneficial for us since the dead koji helps to feed the good bacteria that live in our colon. It's actually the fuel source for them. This is what I self-studied to answer your questions, and I'm not a doctor or any professional, so let me know if I'm wrong. One more thing, based on my experience, you want to intake fermented food slowly if you're not used to it. I remember when I first started, I struggled with bloating, so please always make sure to talk to your doctor before you try it. Head down. Head down. Head down.
大人
ねえ、いいね。楽しかった。By the way, I already covered SHIOKOJI and SHOYUKOJI in different videos, so make sure to check that out as well. Next one is a sweet fermented red bean paste. Usually, the store-bought red bean paste contains a substantial amount of refined sugar, but my version will require only red beans, koji, and water. When I opened the bag, red bean paste went all over the floor. First, rinse the red bean thoroughly, and into the pressure cooker add red bean and water. Pop the lid and start cooking over high heat. Once the pressure is built up, lower the heat and cook it for 5 to 7 minutes or until the red bean paste is soft enough to easily mash with 2 fingers. If the red bean is too hard, the fermentation process won't work properly. Drain the water and make sure to save the liquid as we are gonna use it later. Into the rice cooker, add cooked red beans. Just like amazake, we need to wait until the temperature cools down to 60 degrees Celsius. When it's time, mix koji into the red bean, give it a good stir and add the liquid we saved earlier. I added about 1 cup of them. How much you want to add is depending on how smooth you want the red bean paste to be. Now it's the same story. Pop into the rice cooker and set it to keep warm mode with a clean wet cloth on top. Let it sit for 8 hours. Stir them occasionally to keep the even temperature. If you see the mixture is dried up, feel free to add more red bean liquid. After 8 hours, remove it from the rice cooker and transfer to the container. Add 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon of salt to enhance the sweetness even more. And ready to be enjoyed. You can store it in the fridge for a week in the fridge. I usually just scoop it out from the container and eat it together with some green tea, or sometimes smother on top of the toast along with some butter. And let's to be honest, I love anything sweet like ice cream and chocolate and puff creams. Amazake and fermented red bean paste is not something you instantly fall in love. To me, it wasn't sweet enough when I first tried it. And take your time and find a way to utilize it into your cooking more and more. And one day you may not to live without it just like me. As a result, I hope we can naturally reduce the amount of refined sugar without restricting ourselves. I think that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching and I will see you on the next one. Bye! またね!